For the next assignment, the scale chart, go into Blackboard, open it up, and you can see it's not a drawing. This is a PDF of what you will do in Blackboard, in Excel. So you may say, well, this is a CAD class, but it is important that you know how to use Excel. Excel is used to download pipelines, the pipeline diagrams, and it communicates with AutoCAD. So it will do your line list for you rather than going in and entering each thing piece by piece. So it's important that you begin to understand how to use Excel. Excel is a powerful program. It's a great program. And I know that once you get in there and you start using it, you will begin to really like the program. So this is what Excel will look like. Okay, so it's sort of similar to CAD because we have our home tab, we have insert, page layout, formulas, data, review, and view. So when you go into Excel, it's going to look like, let me go over to this other tab. You also have tabs at the bottom. So when you go in there, it's going to look like this, just plain Jane. Now, know that you can, if you hover over the sections between A and B, and when the cursor looks like that, you can move those side to side, okay, to widen them. You can do the same thing with the rows, okay. You can make them wider, however you want to make them. Okay, if that's too wide, just come back over here. When the cursor looks like that, double click on it. It will go back where you want it to, or it will stay the length of or width of the text. You can also highlight several cells, and you can merge and center. So now you have one column and 18 rows that are now in this area. Those are all one. Coming over here to your font, you also have, notice there's a ribbon, just like CAD. You have your fonts, alignment, and what do you want your numbers, because you are going to be working with numbers, okay? You can also pick the little sideways arrow just like you do in CAD, okay? And that will give you further options for formatting. So let's come back over here to the first panel, and we do want to put borders on it. So if you click down on that, you'll see all the options for outlines. So for now, just pick on all borders. Now that's gonna, and you can pick a range of cells, and that will put the borders on there. Because when you print it, you don't want it to not have those borders, okay? If you don't want those anymore, then just simply come back over here and tell it no borders. Okay, if you want the bottom to have a thick border, then you can pick that thick bottom there. So let's come over here and let's pick those. We've got all those. Now we can come back in here and just simply pick that and unmerge it, and then highlight those, put the borders around them. Okay, so let's go back over here to the first tab. That's the basic stuff in there. Okay, and that's pretty much all you're going to be doing with this assignment. It's just very basic stuff. Don't forget to put your name in this upper corner so I can tell whose assignment is whose. Okay, so you can, as you can see, these cells have been merged. Okay, so I need to merge some more, and I'm going to do that right now. First thing it does is unmerge them, but now that's merged. Okay, let's say you get all the way to here, and you've actually finished up, and you realize that maybe you didn't put 1/64 in. So let's just when you pick these numbers, it will highlight the cells all the way across. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to tell it entire row. I'm going to go back and fix it in just a minute. So it deleted all of that. That's not quite what I wanted it to do. So let me go back one. Oh, I see what just happened, because you see what it did that because I have all of these merged. So let me unmerge those. Okay. So now I'm going to delete that. Okay, so now that one is gone. So let's say that I want to add that back. Okay, so we get to the bottom and I go, oh darn, I left one out. Easy fix. So all we have to do is tell it to insert, okay, and then insert the text that you wanted. So let me go back, fix it like it was. Okay, so now I'm back where I was. So again, as you saw that when I went to go fix those, we have the back and the forward button. Okay. Okay, so let's go across on the rows. So there's my name, that's a single line, plot scale. So this is the scale that will be notated in when you put the scale on your drawing. This is where you put that notation. In this column, we will calculate the dim scale. Okay, LT scale, which is always half the dim scale, that will be calculated here. We're going to calculate two text heights. Okay, so we have 1/8 and 3/16 text height. And now we're moving on to our border sizes. Okay, so the first number is the paper, the second is the border size. That's our A, B, C, and D. If you are feeling industrious, then you could go ahead and put an E border out there. Okay? Now, when we come over here to this text, you'll see that as we're typing something in, so let me come over here. So I'm just going to put in B size border, and I'm going to put just paper just to do this quickly, and I'm going to put border. Okay, so that's all in a line, but we don't want it all in a line. So we need to come over here and we want to tell it to wrap the text. Okay, so now it is wrapped. And didn't quite do what I wanted it to. I wanted it to, I actually wanted it to mess up on me. Okay, so B size, and let me go ahead and put 8, 5, 11, and the border and hit enter, and it takes me to the next one. Okay, so let me widen this out. It's not doing what I want it to. Okay, so let's say that I want the enter to be after where it says B size, and I also want another enter right there. Well, if I hit enter, I put my cursor there and I want it to enter, it just goes to the next cell. Here's what you have to do. Put your cursor where you want, press down on the Alt key and hit enter. Okay, Alt enter, and then come over here, Alt enter, and I've got what I want. Okay, so if okay, come on. You have to be careful and hold it right over that. Okay, so that looks good. If I want to come in here and fix something, like that's not capitalized, I can come in here and do that, and somehow or another that ended up being a 1, so now that's 7. But I want that centered, so let's come over here, let's pick centered, and we want it centered vertically as well as horizontally. So that was painless. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that. So just remember, Alt Enter will force the text to go to the next. Will stay in the same cell, but it will force it down on the next line. So you'll probably have to use that on all of these to make it go where you want to. Not real sure why that says tiles. So let's fix that. And regular, of course, that's the 1/8. I could put some more text heights out here. You could put some more text heights out there if you would like. 1/4 inch, the 1/4. You might want to add that if you're feeling industrious. Okay, so let's look at this. So we have this as proportional, and notice how the text is going straight down. So what you can do to fix that is come over here, and you have all these different options of how you can format your text. You can click on this, and that will force it in that direction. Another cool thing about this program, you can right mouse click over it and go to Format Cells, and it brings up the entire dialog box. Okay, so this is your alignment. So there's the alignment. Font, you can pick different font styles, but it is not necessary to do that. You are certainly welcome to go with the default. Only if you're ahead should you mess with that. And then you have other stuff. So just don't get too fancy with it. If you're ahead, you can get fancy, but be careful trying to get really snazzy with what you're doing. Okay, so your alignment. So see, we can pick this, and we can make it go at different angles, and we can also pick this, and that will force it to go vertical like that. So this is like a dialog box, and then this is your panel up here that you've got stuff right there at easy access. All right, and that's how I did these and this, but I need to center that, and this also needs to be centered. Let's go ahead and get that centered. There we go. Now notice how, because the spreadsheet is so big, okay, notice when I scroll up, the top part of it is disappearing. Or if I come down here and I scroll sideways, part of it disappears there. Is what I have done, I have highlighted this cell. This is where I want the break lines, if you will. I want those break lines to be, because I want to always see this title, and I want to always see this title. So right there where I want that break to be, I'm going to highlight that cell and come over here to View and pick Freeze Panes. And you can see you can freeze top row, first column, but as what I picked this one, where it will lock those rows, the rows and columns, to the top and to the left of the cell that I picked. Okay? Of course, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do with Excel. So Excel is a great program, very powerful. It will do higher level math. Great with statistics, because then you can add fancy charts and graphics to it. And if you're trying to get your point across about numbers, it's a really easy way to do that. Okay, so I think that's pretty much everything that we need to do in here. So you may say, oh Lord, how am I going to get all those numbers? That is very intricate, and that's a lot of numbers. Actually, the only thing that you have to calculate on this would be the scale factor, or the dim scale, okay, which is this number right here. So yeah, you've got a little bit of calculating to do. So these cells, these are super easy. Okay, so you may say, well, how in the world am I going to calculate that? Well, notice on each one we have proportional, architectural, and engineering. Each one of those I've put a sample out here to the side. So you can come over here. We have 4 to 1. And we all know that whole numbers are always over 1. So let's come over here. We're going to turn it into a fraction. We have 4 over 1 times 1 over 1. So when we do that, we cross multiply. So we have 1 and 4 over 1, and that equals 1/4, or 0.25. So that's what we're going to enter in this box. Now we're going to come down here to architectural. Okay, same thing. We have 1/2, okay, which is our 1/2 inch, equals 1 foot 0 inches. So we have 1 foot and notice it says 12. It says 12 because there are 12 inches in a foot, right? Okay, so 12 over 1, and now we cross multiply. So we have 1 over 1, that equals 1. 2 times 12, that equals 24. And whole numbers are always over 1, so we have 24. Coming down here to engineering, we have 1 inch equals 10 feet. And to calculate that scale, 1 inch equals 10 feet, so we multiply that by 12 because we have, again, 12 inches per foot. So 1 inch equals 20 inches. So 120 is our dim scale. Now, once we get our dim scale in here, everything on this page is going to be multiplied by this column, 0.25, or whatever the dim scale is as you calculate those. So calculate your dim scales first, then we're going to set up formulas. So this is the really cool part. It will save you so much time. So to get this, LT scale is half the dim scale. So we're going to write a formula. We're going to tell it equals, and we're going to just pick this, E2, and we're going to tell it go to your number pad and you'll see the little star, times 0.5. Enter. Okay. Same thing over here. 1/8 is 0.125. So we're going to come over here. Again, same thing. Equals. And go back and pick that. And hit the little star, 0.125. Okay? And as you can see, we did the same thing here. Equals E2 and 3/16 is 0.1875. Okay? And you just, all you do is put that formula in, and Excel will do the calculation for you. Okay, so you don't really need a calculator. Now, we're going to come over here, and you'll see a common theme all the way across. Equals E2. So you have to hit equals E. You can type E2 if you want, but you can also type it in. So if you double click on it, now you see what the formula is. Okay, here's the cell. So equals E2 times 0.5, which is the first side of the border. Okay, so let's come over here. Equals E2 times 10, which is the 10. When you come across on your border sizes, or your A, B, C, D size sheets, make sure that you are using your border sizes. Don't use your paper sizes, because the border is what we are interested in, not the paper size. Okay? Now, whoops, if you do that, just hit, okay, so that's the same as this cell, right? Okay, so equals E2 times 16, there's 16. Okay, same thing. Okay, E2 times 22. Now, this one, this is fancy. You don't have to do it like I did. You can separate it out like we did here. Okay, but this one has a really fancy formula. So it's equal, you have to put the parentheses, okay, equals E2 times 22. And we have the and sign and the apostrophe times, again, apostrophe and an E2 times 34. So if you put that formula in, you can put it in one cell. You could actually put it in one cell all the way across. All of these could be one cell. But this formula gets a little tricky to do. So if you're feeling adventurous, go ahead and try that single cell with the one formula. Otherwise, you may have to, let me show you how to do that. Let me just come over here to the side. So what you're going to do is you're going to go back to my home tab. You're going to merge that, and then you're going to have all those. So all the way across the top, these are all merged, and then these are single, see those are single columns. Okay? So you're going to have to put those in there that way. So you could, again, you can get fancy with it and put in a formula like that and work with it, or just go with the individual ones. Okay, so once you get all that information in, and this, I have this highlighted because this is what I want you all to figure out. You've got to figure all those scales. Okay? Once you get all of those done, now highlight this top row because this is where you have your formulas, right? And notice, see the little plus over there? If you pick this corner, make sure it's in the plus. All you have to do is press down on your left mouse button, drag it down all the way to the bottom, and it puts all those formulas in, and it skips, it goes to the next row. It knows that this one will be, I'll highlight it, it knows that one's going to be E3. So, but you have to have your formulas in. You got to have formulas in for that to work. Otherwise, you're going to be entering all those numbers individually. Okay? So, pretty easy little, it's going to be a fun little exercise, and I think you'll enjoy it while you're learning how to use Excel. All right, good luck with the studying.